So right here are the cottages that we did, and then if you just kind of look over here, that is my sister's property that we're going to start here in the next couple months. We're getting ready to build a duo project around the corner. What we've got to do first is to demolish the house. A couple things came up. One is, at least here in Arkansas, the title companies won't give clear title to the bank, the lender, for a construction loan until there's been 180 days have gone by without any construction. The banks are worried that you have work done on the property, then later you get a construction loan and you start building, and then you didn't pay off the first person who did the first work. If they file a mechanics lien on the property, then they would be in first position over the bank's mortgage, and so the banks don't want that. So what we were looking at is doing a demo on a project right now, and there's a couple things that also came up. So one is the appraisal, and one is the 180 days with title. So if we do demolish the property, we will have to wait for 180 days. That should be fine, because but we still don't have the plans yet of what we're going to do. So by the time we get the plans, make any modifications, get permits, and get the bids and amounts for it, and then get a construction loan and permits, it'll probably take 6 months anyway. So I think we're fine from that angle. However, what we will have to do is pay maybe $10,000 for demolishing the home up front. So that's part of the cost that we can eventually roll into the construction loan, but it'll be $10,000 out of pocket. When we got the loan for the existing house, it was based on 80% loan to value. So let's say it was purchased for $100,000 and it was appraised at $100,000 with the house on it. Now we got a loan for $80,000, and so we put down $20,000. However, if we demolish the house, then the bank says, well, actually, you will only loan up to 75% of the loan to value. Still appraised at $100,000, we could only have a loan for 75, which would mean we'd have to give the bank back an additional 5,000. So if we demolish it now, we've got to pay, let's say, $10,000 for the demo fee, plus another $5,000 back to the bank to get to the right loan to value. So, and then we wait for 6 months. So that's $15,000 that we've got to spend up front. But one of the problems is that the house is just trashed, and there's trash all in the yard. It's just a nuisance for the neighbors, and it's just, you know, we don't want to have it sitting like that. So that's one reason we want to demolish it. However, you know, the other thing we could do is just pay, you know, maybe it's $1,000 or whatever to get it all cleaned up without demolishing the house. We could pay now, but that will kind of be double paying for that, because the person who demolishes the house can do it all in one clean sweep. But it just means that we have more money up front that we spend, but we're gonna have to spend that money regardless. So those are some of the factors that we're looking at. We called around to get a few bids. We talked to the first guy. He had a few questions for us. The first question was, when we demolish it, do we want to just retire all the services, or do we want to leave them there? So we've got the gas line and meter, the water, the sewer, and then the electrical. Well, the electrical's overhead, so that's not a big deal. We just cut that off, cut the line, and it'd be back to the pole. But the gas line is underground, and we have a meter there. So what we talked about doing was just removing the meter, so there's no gas flowing, and then just capping it off at where the meter was, and then but leaving the meter loop there. And then with regard to the water and sewer, we want to do the same thing so we can reuse them afterwards. One of the things that's important is the hookups to the here we have the city water, city sewer. So we have got sewer taps and water taps, and those cost money to tap into. So if we can reuse them, then that saves us quite a bit of money. So what we want to do is reuse those. One of the things that happens when we've demoed properties before is the house will get demolished, and then we lose the connection for the sewer or the water, and we can't find it because it gets buried. And then, you know, we dig around for it and can't ever find it. So that ends up, then we have to dig in a new new sewer tap, for example, and it ends up costing us, you know, another $1,000 connect, and you know, probably in other places it may be quite a bit more than that. So these are some of the questions that someone coming to demo your house is gonna ask. Is it on a foundation, a slab foundation, or is it on a crawl space, block, crawl, or something else? And then they'll want to know, do you want it just cleared and leveled, or do you want a seed and straw on there so it'll grow grass after it's done? Do you want to cap off the meters, cap off the utilities at the meter, or do you want them removed altogether? So those are a few of the things to look at. And also they may ask you, do you want to clear the whole lot, have it all clear level, or do you want to remove all the trees, or leave all the trees and just remove any buildings? We live just around the corner from here, and the seller contacted me saying he wanted to sell the property. My sister was looking for a property to develop, and she closed on it in January. However, the people who were living in here didn't actually move out, and the seller had moved out, but his ex-wife had moved in, and she wasn't wanting to leave the property. And they said they were cleaning up, but nothing ever happened. So we ended up having to actually call the police, because when we came over and started cleaning up, they got real mad and yelled at the people trying to clean up. And then immediately after that, we got someone to board up the property. So you can see that it's all boarded up. So we just got our first bid back for the demo. We're still waiting on a couple more. First one, it was about $8,500 for the house, but then about $11,000 in total, because there's a lot of debris around as well that needs to be cleaned up. We're also documenting what it looks like in the current condition, because what we'd like to do is rezone the property so that we can build several units on here, so we can show the status of what it is looks like now, and then kind of what we want to do with the property in the future. So we're helping my sister to develop this property, and what we're looking at doing is converting this into 4 units. So 2 in the front, 2 in the back. It's about 75 feet wide by about 150 feet deep. It has an alley running behind it, so people can drive in from the alley and come in the back and park that way. Gives us a little more room to work with. We will have to build out the alley because it's actually just pretty overgrown. What we will need to do, though, in order to build our 4 units, is to actually rezone the property. I actually own the property directly next door that's vacant right now. It's about the same dimensions, and I've already rezoned it a year or 2 ago, maybe more than that. So that's already rezoned. I feel confident that this one can get rezoned. We are documenting what it looks like now, just so that we can show, hey, we're trying to improve the property and hopefully get support. Rezoning, there's always, you know, people are in favor and people aren't, so that's just a challenge that you go through. I don't think we'll have any issues with it here. My sister is looking that she could sell 3 of them and keep 1 to rent. So for rezoning, it works differently in different places. I'm just going to talk about how it works here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The way it works is you submit a letter, an application to the city planning staff. They review it. The planning commission will then recommend in favor of the rezoning. It will go to city council, then the city council will vote on it. If the planning commission says they are not in favor, then what will happen, either it just gets killed there, or you can actually appeal to the city council. And if I think 1 or 2 of the city council members are in favor of it, they can add it to the city council to vote on and overrule the planning commission. But it's usually maybe a 3-month process from start to end. I just got this text from our friend, and she's an architect and builder in the neighborhood too. Her husband's in the FBI, and what they like to do with vacant houses is to do sort of a search and rescue or search and find. And so what they'll do is they'll bust into and pretend like they're searching for someone. So she just said they would actually love to get in here and do that. So hopefully we can get a video of them when that happens.